Hey everyone, welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show. And I am so happy you're here today. And I don't know where you are, but where we are, it's a little chilly. So I am looking forward to the spring. Even though it's supposed to be springtime, it's still not exactly spring here yet. But it's coming soon. Anyway, I want to say hi to Amnon.
Hello, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am just fine, thank you.
What's happening?
Nothing's happening. Everything is. I'm just like you. Can't wait for it to get a little warmer.
A little warmer. Man, I am so cold.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh my God. Yesterday, my husband and I went in the hot tub at the club, and I swear, I mean, it's age too. My body was so cold. I could not wait to get into
Yeah.
the tub.
I
I'm
keep
just
thinking.
penetrated.
They keep talking about it. I want to see some of it.
I know. And we're in the sunny South,
Yeah.
and it's
Where
cold.
is global warming?
Where is the South?
Bring it.
Where is the South? All right. So I want you to imagine that you're all sitting in a living room. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Maybe you're in your car, maybe you're in your office, maybe you're in the kitchen, wherever you are. Just imagine you are sitting in this big space and we are all sitting together because that's how it's going to be today. We are just going to sit back and chat. And my topic today is about resilience. And we're hearing so much about resilience that I thought it would be a great idea to take one of our shows and just talk about resilience. So I want to tell everybody you can join our chat if you like. Just put your name near our video and you can comment, talk to us, whatever you like in there, ask questions. And then you can call anytime you want at 919 518-9773, and that's from a phone, and then come in on computers 2K voice on Skype. Love to have you any way you can come in. You can comment, you can ask a question, you can derail me and ask something that's completely different than what we are talking about, and that is perfectly fine with me. But before we do that, I just want to ask Amnon, because Amnon does a computer show every single week. And sometimes he has some really good little tidbits of information that he can share with us. So before we get on to this subject of resilience, because that's a good shift, right? You expect resilience, and I'm shifting you to someplace else. Anything going on in the world?
The only thing that's going around that people need to be aware of and be careful of is there's a new way that the bad people found to get your money. If you get
Another way?
any credit cards through the mail,
Yeah.
they now intercept those mail. They take the card out, they replace the chip on it, they put another chip on it, and then they
Remail it?
and let it
How will they do it?
I have no idea. That's the one thing that people don't know yet. I mean, the authorities, whether it's being done at the post office or somewhere along the line. But what happens is now
Is it like an inside job?
it may be. I mean,
Oh my
you have to be
gosh.
really something to be
Oh my
able to take
gosh.
those
We need
chips off
resilience
and put.
today, let me tell you.
So
We
you need
need resilience because
you
with all
need
this stuff going on, oh
you
my
need to be
gosh.
careful with that. Yeah, yeah. I
So
mean, I don't know. There's nothing
is
you
that a
could
new
do.
thing? Is that
Yeah, it's
something
a
that's
new
become
thing.
new thing?
Yeah,
It's you need
they
resilience. You
they
need
they wait till you get it, and then you activate it, and then they can use it because they have the chip. So when you go to use it, hey, what is
so do
that?
they have a mirror chip of what you have? But they don't
No, no, no. They
have
put something else on
well then how do so when you activate it.
it.
So what
That
happens when you go to
without.
use the card?
That's what I'm saying. When you
Oh,
use
then
it,
you can't use
you
it.
can use. What is this? This is not the card. But that's why they have to keep sending it because unless you activate it, which they say that they cannot. I mean, the authorities say when they do this, they cannot activate it. They don't have all the information to activate it. So they send it on and wait for you to activate it.
How
So
do
yeah,
they know when
that's
you
bad.
activate it?
I guess you just keep trying. I don't know. It's just it's bad. So you need to be aware that something like this can happen.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about all of this and resilience. You can't control
No,
what's
you
going
can't.
on around you. You can only
Absolutely.
take care of what's going on around for yourself. And even that you don't have that much control
Right.
over. So it's like you have no choice but to roll with the punches because what are you going to do? There's a punch all over the place. And that's coming from somebody, me, who thinks very positively, not very, who thinks positively, who has, I mean, I have hope for everything. But we can't let all of this stuff get us because what you going to do? I mean,
And,
what else? What?
and no, there's something else.
What?
Another
What? Oh my God. Ready?
breach.
What is that?
And a well-known ring of cyber criminals has obtained more than 5 million credit and debit card numbers from customers of Saks, Fifth Avenue, and Lord and Taylor, according to cybersecurity research firm that specializes in tracking stuff. So they said that it appears to be have been stolen using software that was implanted into the cash register system of the stores, and that siphoned card numbers until last month.
Sheesh.
So I mean, this is
So
people that, that don't
how do you
you
protect
don't
yourself?
you
You
see
can't.
that's it. You can't. You need.
You
I guess. I
can't.
mean,
I mean, how are you supposed to do it? Oh
I
my
don't
God,
want
I
to.
need a drink.
I don't want to promote getting all these services that monitor your stuff because you can monitor it yourself. But if you can't, or if you don't know how to monitor it yourself, get one of those services like LifeLock and
But
all
that
the other
doesn't
ones.
stop
No, it doesn't.
from
But
the
remember,
beginning.
no, it doesn't. But with and thank God, knock on wood, we've never been
I have.
compromised. And I think you're only responsible for the first $50 or so.
I don't know. As soon as you find out, you
Then
start contacting them.
right,
And in some cases, I mean, I had something happen to me, and BB&T contacted me before I even knew it.
yeah, they see a
Well, because
pattern.
they see a pattern.
Yeah.
Because I was using my card here in North Carolina, and then like 5 minutes later, my card was being used in a pizza joint in Brooklyn, New York. Now, I would have liked to have been eating the pizza, but the card couldn't be in two places at once.
Right.
And so they contacted me right away, and they
Yeah.
stopped everything right away.
Right. They
And
stop it right
and
away.
that's how they stopped it right away. And then in the mail, this whole thing that said I got a black, I didn't even know what it was because I've never seen one, a black American Express card that I never asked for, that I probably, even if I asked for, couldn't get.
They do that. They do that.
I mean, it was all tied to this whole thing. So it was very interesting. So you do have to kind of, but you can't. You can't get crazy over these things. That's the point.
No, you can't.
You can't get crazy over anything, honestly. I mean, now there are things that happen that are certainly traumatic, and you just do the best you can. And we're going to talk about some things now. But honestly, you can't. What are you going to do? I mean, you can't do anything. So that's it. Nothing good. Well, that is good because we know. But is there anything good you can tell us about anything? Nothing. I mean, nothing.
No,
All right.
It's all breach and after breach, after
And it's
breach,
all that
after
now.
breach. It's ridiculous.
Oh, all right. So now we're going to get on with our show about resilience. And please feel free anytime you like to call in at 919-518-9773 or computers 2K voice, and then also partake in our chat. We'd love to have you there and ask your questions and so forth. So remember, you're sitting in a living room. We're all together. We're all friends, and we're just hanging out and we're talking. So what is resilience? This is a big buzzword these days. I guess we need it. So here it is. So it's the capacity. So Amnon, can you show that first slide?
Absolutely.
So it's the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. It's the ability to spring back. So it means that, obviously, when things go wrong, and you can take that one away. When things go wrong or things are tough or tricky, that you recover quickly and you don't stay in the muckety yuck for very, very long. You know, nothing gets accomplished in that muckety yuck. We have to find a way to move forward. And there are ways, and we're going to get into some of those that we can do that. But it doesn't serve anybody not to. So we have to build this inner strength. We have to build that. We have to be kind of like Teflon in a way, to where things just don't stick. And that we have to look for the deeper, 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 deeper meanings behind things. And for me, that always is about listening, because listening takes me into those deep meanings really quick, because then I can see and hear maybe the cause of something, or forgiveness that helps, whatever it is that I can use to release my frustration. So the next little quote I have up here is resilience. I think maybe you've all heard this before. Means never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8 times. That's resilience. Just never give up. Just get down, but get back up. Get down, get back up. Never give up. Each time you get up, each time you get down is a lesson in that. Never, ever, ever, ever stay down. Do whatever you have to get up. Crawl up if you have to. That's resilience. There's nothing bigger than you, actually. Nobody, nothing that's bigger than you. Sometimes I'll tell you, man, though, you think, oh my God, I am like mush. And I've been there. I know it. I tell my clients a lot of times, and I'm telling you now, I sit in this chair ethically, just like I sit in my chair in my office. And when I'm coaching, I sit here ethically because I have had a life. So I understand resilience. And maybe people who have had a life, many of us who have acknowledged having a life and we know we've had a life, we are the ones that are resilient. And that's everybody, right? So out of Psychology Today, I found this, and I think it's interesting. Resilience is that quality that allows some people to be knocked down by life and come back stronger than ever, right? Rather than letting failure overcome them and drain them, their resolve, they find a way to rise from the ashes. Psychologists have identified some of the factors that make someone resilient. Among them, a positive attitude, optimism, the ability to regulate emotions, and the ability to see failure as a form of helpful feedback. Even after misfortune, resilient people are blessed with such an outlook that they are able to change course and soldier on. Forge ahead. Positive attitude. It's really, really important. I mean, and having a sense of humor. Now, I know when when you're in a traumatic experience or have come through a traumatic experience, it is hard to have a sense of humor. No question. No question. But anytime that slit is there, anytime you can breathe again, anytime you can just anytime somebody reaches out to you, take their hand. Anytime. That those little minute little things that are huge are the things that are going to get us through. And as we started the show today, just knowing about the breaches, I mean, there are so many things around us today, so many things that are pushing us to being resilient. So many things. I mean, there's abuse. There's all kinds of stuff going on in homes. There's stuff going on in our schools, for Pete's sakes. There's stuff going on in our shopping centers. There's stuff going on the TV. There's stuff going on in our government. There's stuff going on in the office. There's stuff going on everywhere. And it could just make you like go crazy. But what's the point? Because we can survive. We can survive, and when we survive, change will be made. Whether you agree with certain things or not, when people stand up and they fight for something and they voice their opinion for something, change is being made. Somebody's learning something. So get up and go. And if you have any questions now, if you have a story, what is your resilience story for now? Nothing is small and nothing is too big. Everything counts. So call us at 919-518-9773 or computers 2K voice on Skype. It's interesting because, and if you've watched me before, I'm pretty direct. So before we went on the air, I was talking to Amnon about my very, very best friend, very dear friend of mine, Debbie, who had a show here for a long time, and I consider her to be like a flower. Debbie is like a flower. She is. She just is a beautiful person. She's smart, all this stuff. And Debbie has cancer, and it's sad. And I love this woman to pieces. And so I call her every day, and every day I hear Debbie, but then I hear the change in Debbie, and it's just breaking my heart. And so when I came in today, when I was coming into the studio and I was talking to Amnon and telling him a little bit about, what's going on for her, I mean, I just started to cry. There's no question. I mean, I have emotion, but then it reached 1 o'clock. And not that my emotion went away. It didn't. I'm holding it. Still in my heart. It's still in my throat. It's in my hands as I'm talking to you. I'm rubbing my hands back and forth. Um, but, you know, I want to do the show with you. I want to be here and I want to be all I can be and, you know, just be here. And so for me, in this moment, being resilient means kind of just holding Debbie in my heart. It doesn't mean I love her less. It just means that I can do this too. It doesn't mean that I don't love her because I do. It just means that I love you too. So that's one of my resilient stories. Oh my God, I got a million of them. A million of them. I mean, every time my car breaks down, I get a story, don't you? And
Mhm.
let's see, we got, okay, here's a question on our chat from Chris. Let's see, kinds of small day to day techniques can parents and teachers use to nurture resilience in children? Oh, she's rephrasing that. What kinds of small day to day techniques can parents and teachers use to nurture resilience in children? I think one of the first thing that comes to my mind, Chris, is patience. Patience for that little one that comes over to your desk in the morning and has a story from home. They got to tell somebody. And if you're the first person that they can tell, they should be able to tell it. I mean, you know, I run some meetings and I used to tell the ladies in the meetings, there's time for laughter and there's time for the meeting. And if I scheduled both, then it all worked out. So we laughed at times and we did the meeting at times. It's the same thing. I think if teachers could even schedule time in the morning just to hear what kids have to say and not just get right into the day to day of the classroom, I think that would be really important. I don't know what goes on in the classrooms, but I do know that the kids are also busy and they are faced with a lot of stuff. There are kids who don't have, a um, constant nurturing or not even hardly any nurturing at home, unfortunately. Sometimes kids have nurturing, but they're a single mom, and there's not that much time. I mean, I was a single parent too. I had two children. I would come home from work and make dinner, and before you knew it, we were in bed. And a lot of times I would tell people I grew up with my children. And it wasn't that, I was a young mother because I really wasn't. But I emotionally, psychologically grew up with my children back in those days. And I know what it's like to be a single mom. And I know what my children went through in just finding their clothes after I would wash them, and I would dump them all on the sofa because I didn't have time to fold them, and they would just have to go through everything. We all did. So lots of things are going on in our homes, and kids have a lot of things to carry on their shoulders. So I think teachers can't forget, just like doctors can't forget that they're a doctor. A lot of times doctors go from room to room and they forget that they have a patient, and they're so focused on this disease or this surgery or this cure, or that they have to get to the next room because their billing, only counts when they bill X amount of people in an hour, whatever it is. Just take time just to look in somebody's eye and listen. I think that's really important. Let's see. Well, I don't know what other things teachers can do in the day to day, but to, praise kids more and to not make things so complicated. And that's the same thing in the real world or in the outside world as well. Sometimes we're just overcomplicating things. We can make them a lot easier and less complicated. It would be a lot better. Sometimes we try too hard and cross every T and dot every I and just complicate the list and complicate the this and more of this and more of that. Oh my gosh, we don't need all that. So less is more, I would say. And I hope I answered some of your question, Chris, but feel free to call in. And everybody else, please feel free to call in too. Okay, here's the next one. I survived because the fire inside me burned brighter than the fire around me. That's right. The fire inside of you is much stronger. The desire is stronger than the desire around you. Your intent for survival is stronger than the intent around you, is much stronger. And no matter what anybody says, positive is far stronger than negative. There's no question. Positive is just try it and see. Go into a room and be positive. You can change the culture, you can change the energy of a negative room. Just go in there with a smile on your face, and you will put a smile on somebody else's face. It will cut like a knife. So without a question, fire inside of you is much stronger. All right, next one. Resilient people look at the problem and say, what's the solution? What's this trying to teach me? Tell me. Listen to what's going on. Listen. How is it? Is it the end of the world? Sometimes I like to say to myself, so what's the worst that'll happen? Like, okay, so this happened, that happened. What's the worst that will come from that? Ask yourself, and then ask it again, and give yourself an answer. Then ask yourself again, give yourself another answer, and then keep going until you have no answer but to smile back. What is the worst that will happen? You know, I heard something the other day which was really interesting, and I don't know if it, where you are in the world, but um, this was a local news thing on WRAL, which was great. That there was a victim offender program is when the offender and the victim like make peace, and you've heard it before, I'm sure. I mean, it's been on the news. Well, here we had one recently where some guy shot. I don't know if it was just happened to be shooting a gun, and a little child was hit, and the child's okay, but the family forgave this gentleman, and he had, do some community service and some other things, and forgiveness is a big deal. Look for forgiveness. It's a big deal. And ask yourself, what am I going to learn from this? Well, from that, and learn from other people. That's the other thing. That showed me something. I've heard these things before. But that showed me something. But all of those people are going to do so much better than if they didn't forgive each other. Now, there are things that are very hard to forgive, no question. I mean, when it comes to somebody hurting a child, don't get in my way because I am not a happy camper. But then I sit back and I think to myself, okay, what is going on for this person? Where have they been? Now, if it's, that's one thing when I watch it on TV. When somebody hurts my kid, that's a whole nother story. It's hard to bounce back from certain things. There's no question. Sometimes I'm amazed at how people do bounce back. I think the point is bounce as much as you can bounce, bounce as often as you can bounce, practice bouncing. And then the more you bounce, the stronger you are to continue bouncing back. And then your recovery is less. I can't imagine some things that maybe you never recover from, and there's no such thing as resilience. I can't imagine for certain things. But for most things going on in our day to day, we can and we should. And what can you learn from the experience? What's it teaching you? I mean, if there is something negative going on, if you've done something or somebody else has done something, well, it's a red light, it's a green light, it's a yellow light, it's a siren to say, okay, take a look. What can you do differently so this doesn't happen again? I mean, what's going on here? Take a look. What can you learn? What's going to be the value in this pain so that you don't have to experience it again? It's important. Okay, the next one. Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. Oh, I got a response out of Amnon. What's your response, Amnon?
Put Skittles in the ground.
What does that quote mean, do you think? What does that one mean to you?
Your eyes are closed.
Yeah, but you've been birthed. You've been rebirthed.
Yep.
The chances are there. You've been rebirthed. Sometimes in the darkest spot. And some things aren't so dark, they just feel dark. But they are feeling like you're in this big black hole that you'll never get out of, and you just don't know where to turn. And then all of a sudden, bam, here comes a message, and you go, whoa.
You think you can't get out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But every time, what happens?
Somehow you end up, otherwise you wouldn't be reading.
Exactly.
Must be out.
Must be out. But it's true, though, really. I mean, so, when you think you just have nowhere to turn, you don't have an answer, you don't know what to do next, it's frustrating. This too shall pass because it does. And then here comes the next piece and you're out. This is not a big deal, okay? But to me, it was a big deal. I'm writing a book and I could not figure out how to end the stories. I just, no. Oh, no, not yet. I couldn't figure out how to end the stories. I have these interviews and I just didn't know what I do at the end. Do I just say, well, thank you very much, Sarah Sue? Or do I sum it up? Or do I add a quote? What do I do? I didn't know. And there are 50 of them. That's a lot of comments to write about when they're all somewhat kind of similar. This is my book on twins, which the twins are extraordinary. And there's, they're funny and they're sad and they're insightful. They're great. So on Saturday, I was frustrated. I just didn't know. I couldn't even find a place for myself. And I was just really kooky. So I got in my car and I drove to a coffee shop and I sat there and I tried to figure out what I was going to do. And then I drove over to another coffee shop and I'm like, okay, maybe this coffee shop will give me some insight. I didn't know what to do. Got back in my car and all of a sudden I realized I can do all of that. I didn't have to choose one. I could end some of the stories with a comment, some I could add with a quote, and some I didn't have to put anything in. I just needed to tell my readers what I was going to do. And that was fine.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was like, oh my God. I worried so much about all that. And I thought, oh my God, I don't have to worry about it. It's the answer's right here. All I can do it all. I just have to tell you in the intro what you're going to find at the end. That's all. Period. And I was so happy because I really felt I was so frustrated. I can't tell you. I was avoiding working on it because I didn't know how to end it.
So can I just buy the intro?
Yeah, the intro is pretty good actually, but seriously, it was very frustrating. I looked at it like the biggest or one of the biggest writer's blocks. And then all of a sudden the answer came, and that's what happens. It's very interesting that all of a sudden your answers come, and they come and they come and they come. And a lot of times we try too hard, we force it too much, we work at it too much, and if we just let things be and let things be and let things be, your answers will come, and that's a big deal. um, and there's nothing to resist, and there's nothing to fight. It just comes. All right, next one. Resilience is the maintenance of high levels of positive effect and well being in the face of adversity. It is not that resilient individuals never experience negative effect, but rather that the negative effect does not persist. I think that, so another, again, you know, if you keep putting like a brick on top of wet cement, what's going to happen? The brick's going to keep on falling. So if you build yourself up to be strong, not caring, like I said before with my friend Debbie, but strong, you have resilience. And a lot of that takes some work. But we're going to get into some of those little tidbits, but you can do it as long as you maintain the machine. And the machine is this. It's what's between the ears, it's what's inside the head, it's what's inside the heart. If you take care of all of this, your strength to be resilient is going to build, and you will flip things off that you can flip. And then the other things that you can't flip so easily, you don't flip so easily, but you'll flip them easier than you did before. And the things that you absolutely can't resist, then you don't, because you can't. And that's okay. That's what makes you resilient, is not trying to push away the things you can't. Okay? That's important. All right, next one. If you don't like where you are, move. You are not a tree. Well, it's true. If you don't like what you're feeling, do something different. If you don't like how you're acting, do something different. And there's no recipe for all the things that you can do different. Just try something different. Just be something different. Eat something different. You're not stuck in the ground. You can move. If you don't like where you are, where you're living, try something different. Decorate it, move, but you're not a tree, and you have choices. And we all have choices. For most of the things that we go through, we have a choice. Sometimes we don't know we have a choice. Sometimes we haven't been given a choice. We haven't taken the choice, the time to choose, but we have a choice. And if you just sometimes sit back, and I always preface things, not always, many times with sometimes, maybe, because who knows? Every time is different, but you can have some choice. Okay, next one. Resilience is the capacity of a system, enterprise, or person to maintain its core purpose and integrity in the face of dramatically changed circumstances. Listen, my dear friends, we are who we are. And I know that if you're listening to this show, I know your core. I know who you are. I know where your heart is. I know what you care about. And I may not know it all, but I know if you're taking the time and you're listening to this, I know who you are. So if you take good care and you maintain yourself, your core purpose doesn't change. In the face of change, your core does not change. Your core will stay the same. Nothing can change that, really, unless you allow it to change. You want to feed it. You want to compliment yourself. You want to love yourself. Give yourself a chance. Every day, give yourself the opportunity to love yourself even more so that when things happen that you have no control over, you don't fall apart, or you fall apart a little bit, or you fall apart a little less than you did last week. And anything less is good in some cases, and anything more in other cases is also good. It just depends on what the case is. So it's all okay. Just practice, 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 practice. Okay, the next one. Failure is a bruise, not a tattoo. So you can, really and truly, you cannot fail. You cannot fail. Everything is a lesson learned. Every time you get involved in something, you become more and more resilient when you look at it that way. Pay attention to it, assign the word, like visualize the word resilient. I'm being resilient. I'm being resilient. Every little bit counts. So you cannot fail. It's just a bruise. It is not indelible in ink, in your skin, in your heart, because your core purpose is still beautiful. Your intention is still right on. It's just a bruise. Okay? Next one. Okay, resilient people immediately look at the problem and say, what's the solution to that? What is it trying to teach me? Okay, we did this one, but it's at a different, it was different. So I thought it was something to repeat. All right, now we're going to get into some things we can do to help ourselves become more resistant and help other people too. Because, the more other people are resilient, the better you will be as well. Okay. So, do we have any questions? Let me look on the chat first. No questions. Okay. All right, y'all. Just remember you can call in anytime 919-518-9773 or computers tape 2K voice on Skype, and you can join us in our chat whenever you like. Just ask questions. Okay. Here we go. Make connections. Good relationships with close family members and friends and others are important. I mean, we all need people, or even people who think they don't need people need people. We need some connection, some acknowledgement, connection. The more we have, the more of a base we have, the easier it is to fight back or to fight whatever it is, or to love whatever it is, not fight it, maybe even just love it away. So surround yourself as much as you can with the people or people that you trust, you like, new people. Just reach out. Accepting help and support from those around you is important. Ask for help, ask for time. This will strengthen your resilience. Sometimes it might mean joining a group if you don't have that group. There's plenty of places to join, plenty. And I know lots of singles who join meetups are really good. They're easy. They, my God, there's a million of them. Whatever your interest is, there's a group for you. And I think you would enjoy it. And there's all kinds of things. When I was single, I used to love to go have sushi by myself. And I would sit and meet people on the bar. And all of those things have helped me. You don't even realize what it means when you sometimes when you talk to somebody, the practice that you take away from having a conversation with somebody. Because in a week from now, or 2 weeks from now, or 2 years from now, something's going to pop up and you're going to go, oh, yes. Well, you don't get that only by yourself. You get that after having had a conversation with somebody and this piece of information popped up. And then 2 years down the road, there it is again, and you have an answer and it helps. So make friends, make connections. Next one, avoid seeing crisis as insurmountable problems. If you do, then where are you going to get your strength from? If you see a problem as insurmountable, that you can't change it no matter what you do, then how are you going to face it? You can't. It's impossible. If, if you go into a situation with a preconceived notion that it sucks, it's going to suck. I mean, it's pretty hard to go in and say, that sucks. That's going to suck. That is sucking, and it's going to suck, and it's going to suck next week, and it isn't going to be good. Well, then how are you going to combat that? You can't. It's already how you feel. And you can't manifest anything different than that. So when you look at a situation, go in neutral, just like neutral for the car. It's not going anywhere. It's kind of hanging out, hang out and assess the situation. Listen to what's going on around you. Listen and see. Listen, do you see a slit? Do you see something out of character? Do you see something in the way you're feeling that could tell you something different? Just just look around, listen, and then do something different. But don't go in with an already with a conviction that something is going to be bad, because you're not going to it's going to be a lot harder to change it. Okay? Next one. Okay. Accept that change is a part of life, living. Everything. One thing you can guarantee is there's going to be change. That's one thing you know that with beyond a shadow of a doubt, there is going to be change. You cannot stop it. It is like trying to stop life. Life is about change. So we have to just go with the flow and know that there are going to be things that you wake up today, you can't plan the whole day because it isn't going to, you can do the best you can to give yourself some structure, right? Give yourself some structure, give yourself some like, you know, guidelines, some measures, but be okay when it all just kind of goes away like smoke, because that can happen. And then you just go, okay, wasn't meant to be. I can't tell you how many times I have I have had an intention to go somewhere, get in my car in plenty of time, and there's all kinds of traffic that I accounted for, but more than I accounted for. And something happened, there was an accident, whatever. I get to where I have to go and I'm late and blah, blah, blah. Something happened, but it was all for a good reason. I mean, I know you can't always look at everything that way, and it's hard to do that. But things like that do happen. So just take it. I think part of this is just taking things more in stride, because you can't control it. You're not the wizard. You cannot control it. So just kind of like control, con- control never works anyway. So do your best to plan, but be okay with it just going away. Okay. Have goals. Like I just said, have some goals, but like they're not etched in stone goals. They, they give you guidance, and they give you direction. They can motivate you. They can do all these, inspire you to unbelievable heights. But don't be etched in stone that they have to be this way or no way. It isn't going to work. It's just it's like opening up for disappointment. So it's okay to have goals. Just don't etch them in. Don't make them a tree. Just let them be. Okay? All right. Take decisive action. We've mentioned that before. Sometimes something is better than nothing. Making a phone call, knocking on a door. You don't have to knock on 10 doors and make 10 phone calls. Do one. Take some kind of action. If you're feeling, and see, all of these things are not just done in a situation that you're needing to be resilient in. Yes, you have to do them both times. You have to do them when you want to be resilient, and you have to do them to build your resilience for when you need to be resilient. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yep. Okay. So I know sometimes I make up my own words, or my own phrases. So sometimes I have to catch myself and say, "Did that make sense?" Because I use word, you know what I mean. Is there a thing there? Okay. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's here's a quote. It's a strong people alone know how to organize their suffering so as to bear only the most necessary pain. Emil Dorian. So let me read that again. This is on the chat. Strong people alone know how to organize their suffering so as to bear only the most necessary pain. Yeah, it's like you got all this, oh my God, all this bad stuff going on. This is going on. This is going on. This is going on. This is happening. This is happening. All these things are happening. So, what this quote means is strong people know how to take this out and go, no, that's not bad enough. Or, no, this doesn't really matter. And, oh, no, that's not so bad. And are left with the things they can deal with. That makes really good sense. Just get rid of the stuff because it's overwhelming and deal with what you can deal with. And even the stuff that you want to deal with, you may not be able to. And part of dealing with it is just knowing that you can't deal with it. And that's also part of being resilient. Okay, here's another one. Persistence and resilience only come from having been given the chance to work through difficult problems. Yeah, that is from Gever Tully. I hope I pronounced his first name. But if you're listening, Gever or Gever, Gever, it is? Okay, I don't know. Is that a famous person? Okay, but it's Gever. So persistence and resilience only come from having been given the chance to work through difficult problems. So that means that we're all resilient because we're all been given persistence and resilience because we all have had problems. So we're all there, every one of us. It's about igniting it, acknowledging it, using it, honoring it, holding it, being okay with it. It is okay. It is, and it's also an acknowledgement that there are problems. It's an acknowledgement that things don't go well. It's an acknowledgement about all of those things. And like I said earlier, I sit in my seat here and in my office and wherever I'm sitting as best as I can ethically because I have had a life and I've made plenty of yuck. Okay, so Chris is saying Deborah Tully is the creator of the tinkering school. Oh, yes, right. We've had that school on before, right? Okay. So take actions. That was the last one. The next one is look for opportunities for self discovery. So I think this is one of the most important ones. And maybe I would have, maybe I should have started that with that one, but maybe it's a good one to kind of end with. The more you work on yourself, the stronger you'll be. The more you like yourself, the stronger you'll be. It's it's a lot harder for something to penetrate when you like yourself. It's a lot harder to let something in that shouldn't come in when you like yourself. It helps. And the more you understand yourself, the less things that will bother you because you'll be because things just won't bother you the more you like yourself because you won't take it personally. That's the thing. If you take a lot of things, if you take certain things personally, it's hard to have resilience. It really is. And, many of us did not have the perfect upbringing. A lot of people had a lot of dysfunction growing up. And it's very, very hard sometimes to be resilient when you did not have, weren't taught, um, life skills, if you weren't taught or shown compassion and love, it's hard. There's no question. But not impossible. And those of you and those of us that have grown up that way makes you stronger and more resistant. Excuse me, I want to say resistant, resilient. Makes you resilient. So I think the thing is, so here's a thought that just came to me. Being resilient doesn't mean being numb. No, 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 no. You do not want to be numb. You want to bounce back. You don't want to be numb. You don't want to be like hard. You want to bounce back. So I think what we're talking about, which I've just realized, is more about the bouncing back. It's not about just with, kind of like resisting. That's maybe how I keep saying it, resisting. It's about bouncing back. It's about recovering. It's about bouncing back. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's see. Where's the next one? Okay. Nurture a positive view of yourself. All about self discovery. All about self discovery. Do I have to say any more? It's all about self discovery. All of that. I mean, this whole thing is about self discovery. Take time for yourself in every way, shape, or form that you can. Look at anything. It could be just what the kind of food you like to eat, could be the things you like to watch on TV. Just take a walk, exercise, talk to a friend. Just notice yourself, observe yourself, and with a positive outlook, with positive words. I can't stand when I hear people talk down about themselves. I really go crazy. You want to see me go crazy? It's when a child is being hurt, or an elder, or when people talk down about themselves. I really don't like it. Don't. I mean, you are so precious. We are so precious. And we need ourselves to love ourselves so much. And I look at sometimes and I'll say to somebody, did you commit a crime? I mean, what did you do? Nothing. Nothing that's worth that. So step in front and just love yourself a toe at a time, whatever it is. Just look at anything you do and compliment yourself, acknowledge it, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. If you got up today, hallelujah. If you did your laundry, wonderful. It doesn't matter whether you didn't do your laundry for a week. When you run out of underwear, you're going to do your laundry. Keep things in perspective. That's really important. That's kind of like what we just talked about with all the things that are going on. Which ones do you want to deal with and which ones don't you? Keep things in perspective. You know, some things are harder to deal with. Some things are easy. Some things don't need really to be dealt with. Just and if you're gonna listen to yourself, if you're gonna get off on the silly little things, and I know things really matter, but really take a look at it. You know, does it matter that much? Or can you let it go? And I have a friend who talks a lot about rebooting. Sometimes you just have to reboot. And what does that mean to reboot? Sometimes it's just go in your room, go to bed. Sometimes it's just turning everything off. Just reboot and give yourself a chance. Okay. Take care of yourself. We've already talked about that, right? That was the last one. Oh, yes. Yeah. Maintain a hopeful outlook. All these things. Yes, of course. You can't, like we said, going into a situation, if you're going to go in like everything is bad, it ain't going to work out. But if you go in and you say to yourself, and you don't have an answer, you just have hope you'll find one. Go in and just say, okay, I'm gonna look for something. I'm gonna look for help. I'm going to look for a chance. I'm gonna look for a choice. I'm gonna see what I can see. Just do anything you can, but go in with a bad attitude. It doesn't matter what you say. Just don't go in with a bad attitude. When you go in some way other than that, you will find a way out that will serve you and everybody else. It's a big deal. Okay. Wow. I can't believe by myself the time went by so fast. It never goes by so fast when I'm by myself. Anyway, so that is about the end of what we had, but I do want to show you my book, which is not the one I'm working on now. This is the one I have published. It's In Just One Afternoon, Listening to the Hearts of Men. And it has some really fabulous stories about men and their emotional journeys through life and how they are being resilient and bouncing back. So it's on Amazon. And then I also love to share that I do a lot of my all my email marketing with eye contact. And if you are looking for a good resource to automate, then contact eye contact and use the code breaking free. So I would hope that after today, the word resilient will be just buzzing in your ear and you will give it some respect. Give yourself respect. There's nothing that you can't handle. Even if you just need to reach your arm out and grab somebody and say, come here, because I need you. But we need each other. There's no question. You know, what bounced me back today after talking on that about my friend Debbie, as I told you in the beginning, was the fact that I was going to be here with you today. And for the most part, I don't know what you even look like. I just know you're out there. I know that you, like I said, you have a heart. I know your intention for the most part. I know you have dreams and you're just like me. And I know you would understand when I tell you these things. But we've never really met, have we? Maybe there's some of you out there that I know personally, but I don't even know you're there. You know how many times people tell me I watched your show and they're like a relative or really a good friend or a colleague, and I never knew they did. So if you are, thank you. And for those of you that I don't really know, I thank you for being here today and for, talking about resilience with me. But like I was saying, I don't know you and I'm willing to open up because it helps us all, right? That's what freedom is about. Anything that we can do to support each other, to journey together. I mean, you take this one word, resilient. Look what it means. It's a ton. It drives our lives. I mean, and it's acceptance. It says, okay, I'm not perfect, but I'm perfect because I'm not perfect. And okay, I messed up over here, but I'm going to bounce back over here. Or today it took me an hour to bounce back, but yesterday it took me a day. I mean, anything you can give yourself credit for, give yourself credit for. Right? Amen. So if you have an idea for a show, you want to reach out to me personally, you want to just connect, anything, just connect with me at marilynshannon.com. And if you are interested in publishing a book, I am running with a colleague, co-hosting a group of workshops along with Microsoft 365. So we're delighted about that. I have a listening quest coming up on May 19th, which is a journey into the unknown. And it's going to be a combination event of a talking stick and a sound bath. So if you want to know more about that, that's going to be held in Raleigh, North Carolina, and hopefully the world at some point. But if you're local and I can help you with that, please contact me at marilynshannon.com. And with that, bye, everyone. See you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and deltaforce.net.